I don't think so. I think the Patriots probably get it done by about 10 points or so. If Le'Veon Bell was there, I'd give the Steelers a fighting chance because he, was probably one of the 2 or 3 best running backs in football last season, and he's really developed as an all-around back. He can beat you running the football, catching it, and he's also great picking up the blitz, and that's one of those little things in the game that people don't pay attention to, but it's going to be real big when it's not there. And now it's D'Angelo Williams, who's, been in this league for a long time and has had some success, but that's quite a drop off from a all pro level player like Bell.
J.M. Mullen on Twitter, and all right, you just said something that let me segue into the Eagles conversation here. You said it's the little things, picking up the blitzes and stuff. And Chip Kelly mentioned something to that effect today with his running backs and talking about picking up the blitz, being able to do more than one thing. And we've heard a lot of war of words this offseason between McCoy and him being gone and Murray being in here. And I'm not suggesting that Kelly makes a little dig at Murray, at McCoy on his way out the door yet again. But McCoy, not sure if he'll play on Sunday for the Bills. Do you, in your opinion, think that the Eagles are going to run the ball even more this year because of the depth they have at running back? Is that what Chip Kelly, in your opinion, the 2015 season is about, is to have more of a running game and run the ball, concentrate on running the ball more?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. It's to be a run-first team to set up the pass, and I think it's partially due to the fact that obviously you want to keep Sam Bradford as healthy as possible for as long as possible, and there's some uncertainty at the wide receiver position where at running back it's the deepest position possibly on the team. You have 3 really good running backs, and DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, and Darren Sproles, and you have guys who can do everything. Who can, run the football, catch the football out of the backfield. I don't think there's a tougher matchup on third downs in pro football than trying to deal with Darren Sproles when he's on those wheel routes or in the slot or something like that, because linebackers and safeties just can't cover him. So it's the strength of this football team, and obviously I think Chip wants to play that up, and rightfully so.
All right, let's look at some of the things that Chip Kelly discussed today. That kind of stood out to me, though, he kind of saying that we have more options and our running backs can almost do more. Therefore, the running game or the running backs are going to be utilized more because they're more versatile than they've been in the past. And obviously another thing today he talked about was Zach Ertz. What did you get a sense on Ertz today? Anything new to bring up about Zach?
No, he's still limited, and I always thought it'd be a long shot that he'd be ready for week 1. I think the extra day certainly helps, and they're going to keep monitoring him. He's limited. He's been limited in practice, and so is Marcus Smith for that matter. And that's kind of expected. The fact that he's back and able to do anything is a very, very good sign. So, whether he plays or not in Atlanta, I still lean towards not. But he's on track to be back very, very early in the season, and that's a tremendously positive development.
He did get asked about Benny Logan today, and I want to get your opinion on him too, because Fletcher Cox seems to be the guy that everybody talks about. But, it's a 3-man thing with Thornton and Logan there. What kind of season do you envision from Logan this year? Is he a kind of guy who you think can have a breakout role?
Yeah, I mean, if the preseason's any indication, he was the Eagles' best defensive player in the preseason. He was a monster, especially in the run game. He's really shown improvement. I think he's added strength. As a rookie, he was kind of undersized for that nose tackle position, so he's gotten a little bit bigger. He's gotten a little bit stronger, and he's kept the same kind of quickness. So he looks like one of those players poised to have a big year, and it's one of the reasons the Eagles have so much confidence in their front, is the fact that they think they have 2 impact players, Fletcher Cox and Benny Logan. And Cedric Thornton's not bad either, but those are the 2 guys they're looking to set the tone, talking about Cox and Logan, and they've been able to do it in the preseason. Now we're going to have to see if it carries over. Fletcher's going to be able to get it done, but I think Benny Logan's going to take a big step forward this season.
We're talking with John McMullen, 97.3 ESPN.com, Eagles contributor. Also, check him out at todayspigskin.com for more on the national side of things. Let's talk about your piece up at 97.3 ESPN.com right now, 5 on the Falcons. Chip talked about their weapons. He said, look, this is a team a couple of years ago that was just a couple of yards away from going to the Super Bowl. They were 13-3. Matt Ryan, very good. Julio Jones, very good. Roddy White, very good. Maybe not in his prime anymore. Tell us a little bit more about this Falcons team that we really haven't discussed a whole heck of a lot because everything seems like it's been Eagles, getting ready for the Eagles. They are playing the Falcons. Tell us a little bit more about them.
Well, the one strength they have, and nobody's going to question, is the passing game, because we just talked about Ben Roethlisberger being in that second tier. Well, one of the guys who would join him is Matt Ryan. He's right there. I mean, this is obviously a 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback. As you mentioned, he was just, you could argue an Ahmed Brooks hit away from the Super Bowl, because if he didn't hurt himself late in that championship game, I think the Falcons were going to the Super Bowl. He's played at a very high level. He continues to play at a very high level, even as the team has sort of disintegrated around him from that point. But the one thing that hasn't gone down is the receivers, and Julio Jones is arguably amongst the top 5 receivers in the league when he's playing at his tip-top, shape. You could argue he's the best. I mean, he's that good, and it's going to be a very difficult matchup. And Roddy White for years has been the best number 2 receiver. He's 32 years old now, as you mentioned. He's probably not in his prime any longer, and he's about 2 weeks removed from arthroscopic surgery on his elbow. So that's going to help a little bit. He's probably not 100%. He's going to play. They're not as deep as they once were, because if you think about that team that almost went to the Super Bowl, not only did they have Jones and White, but they also had Tony Gonzalez and a guy like Harry Douglas. They're gone, and they haven't been able to replace him. Jacob Tamme is the tight end, and obviously he's not Tony Gonzalez, so that'll help a little bit. But this is a big test for a revamped defensive backfield. I mean, we got 3 new starters in the defensive backfield. Nobody has any idea who the nickelback is going to be. Most likely, Nolan Carroll's going to drop into the slot from the outside, and we'll see whether they insert Eric Rowe or E.J. Biggers. But either way, Matt Ryan is going to be targeting whoever comes in obvious passing situations, and they're going to try to match up Julio Jones as much as they can, and that's going to be a difficult thing for the Eagles to deal with.
Hey, John, I don't know if it was today, if it happened again. I saw not a lot of tweets about it, or even stuff brought up today in the press conference about it. But was Eric Rowe getting some reps at safety?
Well, he's been – Chip talked about him yesterday and said, he's ready to go. So the fact that they're cross-training and he might get a rep, Chip will lean on the fact that we rotate guys all the time through at certain positions. And remember, we're from 90 to 53. So repetitions with the Eagles, I talk about it all the time, aren't as important as they are for other particular teams. Whereas if, they go at a much slower pace, and if somebody's actually in at a particular position, you can make notice of it and say it's a big deal. It's not necessarily the same way with the Eagles that run practice. But obviously, we're only able to look at individual drills at this point. We can't be in there for practice. So whether he has or not, it wouldn't surprise me at all in the least. But right now, the plan is that he's going to play on the outside, and they hope at some point he's ready to go. I think you keep that in your hip pocket, though, and that could be a future scenario, especially if he continues to struggle.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about this on Tuesday's show, where why not give him a shot there? And I was talking earlier about, I don't know that if you've asked him or if people have asked him or approached him, has he come out and said where he feels most comfortable?
He said, it's very difficult. I talked to him a couple weeks ago when they moved him inside and started giving him some reps at the nickel slot. He was very uncomfortable with that. He talked about the fact that he played 3 years in college at safety before moving to corner as a senior, and that was very, very difficult. So that, if you remember, he stated he had a little bit of a tough day mentally, and that was on that particular day, and that's why. So you get the feeling that he's not entirely comfortable on the outside. He never comes out and actually says it. But, by the way his hips move and his back pedal, he looks like a more natural safety, and it makes sense because he's got more experience playing that position. But the Eagles look at his measurables and the fact that he's long and lengthy, and it's, we all know everybody wants the next Richard Sherman, and he looks like that physically, and that's what they're hoping he develops into, a cornerback like that. But he does seem more comfortable inside at safety.
John McMullen's with us, 97.3 ESPN.com, Eagles contributor. Read it right now, his 5 on the Falcons, what to expect, and some of the problems they have. He also has his pickup there, but I will save that for Monday's edition so that he can give you that. But if you need to know what John thinks right now, go to 97.3 ESPN.com. He does have his prediction posted. Before we let you jump here, obviously, you look at Chip Kelly in year number 3 now, and he has all the pieces in place. This has been a big gamble kind of year for him. Do you sense any different feeling around NovaCare Center? I mean, is it a different kind of aura or feeling now that Chip's kind of the man and in control, or does it kind of have the same type of feeling inside that building that it has his first 2 years?
I think there was a little different at the beginning of camp because people were questioning, all the changes and how it's going to work out. I think there's a lot more confidence after the really, really good preseason, and it mostly stems, obviously, from the quarterback position and how good Sam Bradford has looked at times. So people are more comfortable. And then you see there's so much love pouring in for this team nationally around the country. A lot of people have picked them as a sexy choice to go deep in the playoffs or even the Super Bowl. So I think the organization as a whole is brimming with a lot of confidence, and they think they've made the right decision. But you never know in football until it starts for real, and even more so in this era because practices, there are no more two-a-days. There's far less. There's no more tackling by and large. Chip Kelly doesn't tackle at practice. So until you see the live bullets and until you see him go for 60 minutes, it's really difficult to understand what you have, but they're certainly very, very confident.
All right, he's John McMullen at JF McMullen on Twitter, 97.3 ESPN.com, today's pigskin.com for more. His pick is posted, Eagles-Falcons. He'll be back tomorrow with a look at the Eagles, and on Monday with a full preview as well. And, of course, you can check John and I out live on Tuesday on the Sports Bash. All right, John, enjoy the rest of the day, pal.
Hey, thanks, Mike.